Hi, I'm Emily, and I'm going to talk to you about Americans' divisive reactions to fact checking labels during COVID-19. In recent months, various platforms have taken different steps to moderate and label media related to COVID-19. As they've taken different approaches, it remains to be seen how can platforms best address users' information needs and the effects of manipulated media on the public. The Partnership on AI, or PAI, is working on this in their AI and media integrity area, alongside partner organizations in civil society, industry, and academia. In March of this year, I joined a fellowship between PAI and First Draft in order to better understand, from a user research perspective, how audience needs align with current platform approaches for labeling manipulated media. And some of our initial questions included what are people's attitudes about existing interventions, and what are their mental models around how they work? And how do Americans actually experience critical moments of trust and distrust in their own lives across platforms? Our approach to this, starting in the summer, was to start with a broad but in depth set of interviews with people about COVID-19 and existing labels and label terminology, followed by a 2-week diary study where people submitted and discussed moments from their own lives focused on COVID-19 media. And later, we're planning on a survey to better understand how themes generalize across communities. So, starting with that first question, what are people's attitudes about existing interventions? You can see here two word clouds, one for how uh, people currently felt about platforms' handling of COVID-19 media, and the second, how they feel they should feel. And these probably aren't a surprise to you. I think a lot of us have felt uneasy, anxious, confused about the information landscape and wish we could feel more informed, confident, educated. But it's notable that these underlying wants and needs seemed true kind of across the board. Here's a quote kind of demonstrating that you hear one news station saying one thing, one news station saying another. A lot of times it's political. The president might say something different than the news site. I don't really know who to trust. Another key finding is that attitudes about platform labels were really polarized between wanting more versus less fact checks. So on the more side, here's one woman who said, lots of people aren't going to take the time to look for the real context, so take a stand and say it's false. And in fact, in our initial round of interviews, 8 out of the 15 people we talked to expressed a view sort of like this, that it was the platform's responsibility to be clear and objective about what they understood as true or false. And we saw this play out in the context of someone's life through a moment like this Tucker Carlson clip, where one woman said she was glad that she had more to read about it and was glad that Facebook had marked it as false. On the other end, here's a woman from South Carolina who says, it feels like platforms are trying to dictate what information gets through to you. It makes social media seem biased, and I don't need them to spoon feed me information. And so this point of view that we heard from 7 out of 15 people is that labels are policing these open platforms, and seen by many as judgmental, paternalistic, and kind of against this free speech ethos. An example of this playing out with COVID media was a post that claimed that a girl was tased and arrested for not wearing a mask. This man in Georgia looked into the post for himself and didn't find this fact check to be accurate. And in fact, talked about how much it agitated him to see that, and believed that fact checking was done based on personal opinion, using fake articles to support an agenda. More distrust when it came to this idea of overlaying or blocking a post in particular. So many saw this intervention as being particularly punitive with words used like offensive and censorship. So if not that kind of approach, what are some ideal systems that people look to? So this is something that we asked of people after they submitted moments from their lives, what kind of systems might address the issues that they saw. A few themes that emerge. The largest one was actually just a better system of fact checking that they found to be more robust or less biased, better filters, crowd wisdom, so understanding the people, the user's perspective, more positive media, appeals, and then oversight. And to give you a glimpse of some of these concepts, here's better fact check, which is something you could use across platforms and pop up to help you detect potentially false info. For filtering, this is a concept that helps you filter only to positive credibility signals, so verified, trustworthy media. And then on the crowd wisdom concept, alongside cross-reference data, being able to pull from the crowd whether you thought something was accurate or not. And so those might not be super new design concepts, but it's powerful that it came from the people themselves. One of our big takeaways is that distrust runs deep. The current state of platform labels are imperfect band-aids to address what people trust and why, that have limits when people fundamentally distrust institutions like platforms, fact checkers, and media companies to offer non-politicized ratings. Despite this, many still desire this consistent and unbiased source of truth. They just don't know how to get there. Some other takeaways, people didn't really distinguish between the specifics of media formats, manipulated media tactics at a post level, but really responded much more to broader news frames and intents from post to post. And there's a need to better design interventions that redress people and how they feel about these broader frames rather than repress them at an individual post level, and respect their autonomy to want to do their own research. And finally, we want to invest in different ways to legitimately earn the trust of different types of audiences, such as more community-centric moderation, independent oversight, and more user research and participatory design. So thanks to the PAI team and AI and media integrity in particular. And let us know if you have any questions. Thanks so much.